Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is The Boy Named After His Brother. On May 11th, 1904, a baby was born on Carrer Monturiol in Figueres. His father, Salvador Dalí Cusi, held the tiny child and whispered his name, Salvador. His mother, Felipa, had tears running down her cheeks, but not from sorrow. 9 months ago, they had buried another Salvador, her first son. He had died from a sudden illness when he was only 9 months old. He will carry his brother's spirit. Felipa whispered to her husband, he will grow into the life his brother could not live. The room smelled of fresh linen and church candles and spring air. In the street below, cartwheels creaked on cobblestones, horses neighed in the afternoon sun, but inside this room, on Carrer Monturiol, two parents had made a quiet promise. Their new Salvador would wear his brother's name, his brother's memory, his brother's unlived future. No one else in Figueres understood exactly what this meant, but Felipa understood. She had lived it. When Salvador was 5 years old, his father took his hand one cool morning. "Come," Papa said, "there is someone I want you to meet." They walked through Figueres' narrow cobblestone streets toward the cemetery. The air smelled like wet earth and cypress needles. Tall, dark cypress trees grew against the pale sky. Salvador's little sister, Anna Maria, was only 2 and stayed home with Mama. At the cemetery gate, Papa knelt down until his eyes met Salvador's. "Do you know what happens after we sleep very, very deeply?" Papa asked. Salvador shook his head. He didn't understand at all. "Some people sleep longer than others," Papa said very quietly. "Your brother Salvador? He is sleeping in the earth beneath that stone." He pointed to a grave marker with the name Salvador carved into it. The boy's face went pale. His small hand gripped his father's tighter. "But I am Salvador," the boy said. His voice sounded confused and frightened. "Yes," Papa said, "you are both called Salvador." "He is sleeping in the ground, but his name lives in you now. You are the same name in different ways. He lives in you, my son, in your heart, in what you will become." Around them, birds called from invisible branches. The boy stood very still, staring at that stone with his own name he did not understand, not yet. But he would remember this moment forever. When Salvador turned 6, his parents enrolled him at the Hispano-French school. He did not like sitting in rows with other children who seemed so ordinary. He asked too many questions. He daydreamed, he wore strange clothes, but one autumn afternoon, a teacher brought charcoal sticks and white paper to class. "Draw what you see," the teacher said, "anything at all." Salvador looked at the light falling through the tall classroom windows. He saw how it made sharp shadows on the wooden floor. He saw the way it touched people's faces and made them look like statues. His hand began moving across the paper without thinking. Lines appeared. Shapes. The shadow of a boy sitting 2 desks away. The light on a girl's hair. The darkness under a desk. When the teacher collected the drawings, she stopped at Salvador's paper. She was very quiet for a moment. "Salvador," she said finally, "you see things other children do not. You see what is hidden. You see what is dreaming." That evening, his father showed the drawing to visitors in the study. "My son sees the world differently than other boys," Papa announced at dinner. "Perhaps he will become something remarkable, something the world has not yet seen." For the first time, Salvador felt a small warmth bloom in his chest. Maybe he was not just the strange boy who carried a dead child's name. Maybe he was someone new, someone who could see. When Salvador was 12 years old, his family left Grey Figueres for the coast. They traveled toward Cadaqués, a village clinging to cliffs above the Mediterranean. The road twisted and turned through olive groves and cork oak forests. Salt spray touched Salvador's face through the car window. His mother pointed ahead. "Look, Salvador, rocks like cathedrals." The cliffs were enormous and strange, red and orange and purple in the fading light. They seemed alive. They seemed impossible. At Querétaro, Salvador met Ramon Pichot, an artist and family friend. Pichot had a studio filled with paintings, sketches, brushes, and colored pencils. The walls smelled like oil paint and turpentine and something wild and free. "You make drawings?" Pichot asked, examining Salvador's charcoal sketches carefully. "Yes, sir," Salvador whispered. He felt very shy in front of a real painter. "Then come, look at this." Pichot opened a large book. Inside were paintings by artists Salvador had never heard of. Colors melted and twisted. Forms were impossible and dreamlike. Faces were broken into shapes. Landscapes bent as if made of water. "Art is not copying what you see," Pichot explained. "Art is painting what you feel, what you imagine, the truth beneath the surface." That summer, Salvador sat on the rocks above the sea for hours. He sketched the strange, twisted shapes of the cliffs. He drew how shadows changed every few minutes as the sun moved across the sky. The wind was cold. His hands grew stiff. The rocks smelled of salt and ancient time. And in his notebook, a new Salvador was being born, not the ghost of his dead brother anymore, but a boy who could see the world in a way no one else could see it. As autumn came and the light in Figueres grew shorter and golden, Salvador was changed. He still carried his dead brother's name. He would always carry it. But now he understood. The name was not a burden. It was a gift. His brother had not lived to grow or draw or see the world's strange beauty. But Salvador would grow. He would become an artist. He would paint not just what he saw, but what his lost brother might have imagined. Years later, when Salvador was famous, when his paintings hung in museums around the world, he told a journalist something strange. "I spent my whole life painting the world another Salvador would have imagined," he said. "My brother, the one who died 9 months before I was born, I paint his dreams, I dream his dreams, I am him, and he is me." And in Figueres, the house on Quai Montreal still stood, the same rooms where he first learned to draw and see, the same streets where he walked to school carrying his dead brother's name. Other children were born in Figueres after that. Some were named after relatives, some were named for saints, but few would carry a name quite like Salvador, not just a name, but a promise. A promise that the dead could live on through the living, that names and love and art could weave a life together. A promise written on a grave, whispered in a newborn's ear, painted in oil across a canvas for all the world to see. And so the old town also slowly fell asleep. Good night.